And welcome back, man, to Earl Knows It All. And like I teased earlier, there's an NBA superstar that, we're starting to kind of hear some rumblings and bubblings of maybe he's not happy where he is. I don't know. You can deduce from that what you will. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, as he is affectionately, known, had some comments in a New York Times interview recently that kind of stood out, which, maybe it's fodder because it's summertime and there's not much to talk about besides like the World Cup. You're watching those games at 8 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning right now. So not a lot of basketball talk. Nothing's happening with James Harden. Nothing's happening with Damian Lillard. So we need something else to pounce on, right? Enter Giannis Antetokounmpo in his comments. What he said, and I quote, about signing an extension this summer when he's eligible, in September when he's eligible with the Milwaukee Bucks. He said, numbers wise, it doesn't make sense. He also indicated that next summer it would make more sense for both parties. Even then, I don't know. I would not be the best version of myself if I don't know that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going for a championship. Everyone's going to sacrifice time away from their family like I do. And if I don't feel that, I'm not signing. So, Giannis has, I guess, 2 years left on his deal this season, and then he has another year and then a player option in 25, 26. So he can become a free agent essentially at the end of next season. Not the end of next season, at the end of 2024, 2025. So we're kind of ahead of this thing, but the media likes to pounce on things, and I guess I'm right there with them since I'm a part of this lovely crew of media now. I think Giannis will. I don't know what he's going to do. We saw this the previous time before he signed this extension because the Bucks kept getting knocked out in the first round. Got knocked out by Miami in the first round, just like they did this past year. And everyone wondered, is Giannis going to sign? They went out and made a trade for Drew Holiday. Ended up winning the championship that year in a kind of weird COVID season where there weren't fans in the stands, and then fans came back as the playoffs started, and just a lot going on. And they were down 2-0. The Suns fell apart in that series, and they won 4 straight games. And Giannis ended the series with a 50-piece McNugget, as he said, anyway. And we find ourselves right back here, 3 or 4 years later now. Is Giannis going to leave? There are reports, of course, that the New York Knicks, as always, are going to land a superstar player. They've been saying this since I was a child back in the 80s. They got Patrick Ewing with the Cole lottery envelope, and since then they haven't really done much since. I guess Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony kind of count as big players. I guess Carmelo is an all-time great, and at the time they got an injured Amari Stoudemire, a guy who was not his full prime based on some injuries he had suffered. So the Knicks never land anybody, but for some reason they think they always are going to land the next guy. I don't foresee Giannis going to New York. The Lakers could be something that happens, right? The Lakers are a team that, they get their guy. They got AD, they got LeBron. It's LA. It's the Lakers, the storied franchise. If you're an NBA player, you want to be in LA, you want to be a Laker, man. So I can see that happening. His younger brother, Costas, I think, played for the Lakers back in the bubble when they won the title. So a little bit of familiarity there. Of course, I think his older brother, Thanasis, once played for the Knicks and also said recently, as this summer, that he considered going to the Knicks this year. So maybe that's why Knicks fans think it's a rumor that they're going to get him, just like Johnny Bryant was going to bring them Donovan Mitchell, or they did get Jalen Brunson. I'll say that. The Knicks did get Jalen Brunson because they had Rick Brunson in the mix, and his godfather, of course, Leon Rose, is the guy running the team. So that's a little different. I don't see any of those connections to the Antetokounmpo family besides the Nasas having a cup of coffee with the Knicks previously, right? So I got a couple teams I think make sense as well for them. Now, previously, the team that everyone said Giannis should go to back in the day was the Miami Heat before he re-upped with the Bucks his last time. And the Heat were kind of clearing space trying to get him. Didn't wind up getting him. Ended up, of course, like I said, going in a different route. And they've been a team that's been a thorn in his side now. Would he go to that team? Would he say, hey, They keep beating me. Can't beat them, join them. You've seen KD get killed for this now for years and years for going to the Warriors after he got beat by that team. So does that make sense? I'll still put the Heat on that list because the Heat are also one of those teams with Pat Riley that kind of always gets his guy, and they're always looking to land the next guy. I do also have the Lakers, another interesting team, two teams that kind of off the beaten path. And I'll say this because Giannis is a little bit of a different guy. I don't think he necessarily needs the lights and the glitz and the glamour of LA like a lot of people want to have. You know, I think Giannis wants to win. And based on that, those comments, him saying, hey, if I'm spending time away from my family, I want to make sure everybody's bought in. Two outside teams for you. The first team I'll say are the San Antonio Spurs. Hear me out. Spurs, one of the worst teams in the league last year, but they've added Victor Wembanyama. He's supposed to be a generational talent. We'll see what that is with Victor Wembanyama, right? If that actually ends up being the case. But let's just say that Victor Wembanyama is, you know, close to what we think he could be. Giannis and him being together, a lot of cap space, and Greg Popovich and an organization that knows how to win and put a winning team together. They've done it before. For 20 plus years, they were an organization that was one of the model organizations in the league. You know, they still have a lot of the same people there. Pop is still there, R.C. Buford. So I think the Spurs have a decent shot to get him now. Probably won't get him. They will have to trade for him. I don't know if he's signing there. But they also have a lot of draft picks that they've gotten from the Atlanta Hawks in that DeJounte Murray trade, as well as their own picks, which, you know, at the moment may not be the best picks. I mean, or maybe good picks, I'm saying, excuse me, because they aren't really a winning team at the moment. But if Victor Wembanyama is who we think he is supposed to be, and when I say we, I mean all the pundits, that could be an interesting fit there. The team that I think at some point is going to have to move all of their picks that they've traded for, because you can't draft all these guys. You don't have the money to re-sign them. And they're already probably having to think a little bit about, hey, which one of the young guys we have on our team now are we going to invest in going forward? Because with the new second apron and how hard it is with the luxury tax, they're going to have some big decisions. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. Hear me out. Heartland, middle of the country, you know, an organization that previously has been a team that they built winners. Sam Presti, again, he's from that Spurs tree, but he's been in OKC so long, he's kind of built his own reputation as well as being able to put together a team, you know, drafting KD, drafting Russell Westbrook, drafting James Harden, Serge Ibaka, getting that team together. Even when you trade hard, you bring in a guy like Steven Adams, who was a formidable center. Sam Presti has a pretty good track record, being able to make the trade for Paul George. And this was got me thinking about this. When they had Russ and KD left, he didn't just sit on, you know, his laurels and say, hey, well, we got to blow this thing up. They still wanted to compete. They had that 1 year with Russ, and then they went out and got Paul George, and they went out and brought in Carmelo Anthony and tried to go for it. It didn't work, but I think if you go out and try to get Giannis this time, it could work. Hear me out here. OKC has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's been all NBA, all-star, all NBA guard. He can give you 30 points a night. He's been doing that for the past few years. Showing out right now for Canada in the FIBA World Cup, right? He has kind of risen to ascension. When you start looking at timelines too, he's only 26 years old, I think. So Giannis is only 2 years older than him. They will fit as far as being on the same timeline. And then you got some other players who OKC has that could work as far as making Milwaukee say, hey, if we're going to lose this guy, if he's telling us he's not going to resign, maybe we should try to trade and rebuild, because they don't have any picks. They traded all their picks away. They traded away all those picks for Drew Holiday. So they don't have any picks. The Bucks don't really have a way to get better. They just got to trust and hope that Drew Holiday can kind of stay at least at the level he's at. And maybe Chris Middleton has been hurt and he can raise his game a little bit more. Other than that, they don't really have any way to get better. So I think Giannis kind of can see this, and that's why he's making the statements he's making, kind of preparing himself and giving the Bucks an opportunity to say, hey, you better do something to make this team better, because what we're doing right now, we're declining each year. So this works for the Bucks if you make a trade. And I would have a trade And I'm not saying this will happen this year. I would say after this season, OKC would be the team that would be ready. And that's the team I maybe want to go see him play with, man. It was fun when Oklahoma City was a great team. Their fans are great. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, they had that city rocking and the arena. The atmosphere was always good. Even when Chris Paul went there, man, and they went on a run that one season where people thought they were going to be horrible and they still made the playoffs. Like those fans are bought in. That's the only thing they have there from a professional sports standpoint. So it'd be fun to see a winner be there, and they got a fun team already. So this is what I would do. You can offer up some young players who people really like. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we want to pair him with Giannis. So he's off the board. You're not getting him. But we have a gazillion picks. They got 27 picks or something like that over the next 4 or 5 years. So they have a plethora of picks. They got Houston's picks. They have the Clippers picks. They have Miami Heat picks. They have picks from everybody. Picks from everywhere. A pick here, a pick there, a pick everywhere. Trade those picks. You can give 5 or 6 picks, or if you want to go the Rudy Gobert way with 27 draft picks in the next 5 years, they can trade 7 of those picks and still have 20 picks that they can still make some other moves with. So if you want to beat what happened with Utah and Rudy Gobert, you trade 7 of those picks away. If that tickles your fancy, maybe you maybe not even have to give up 7 because Giannis would have 1 year left on his deal. So you can try to negotiate that from that standpoint, Sam Presti. Chet Holmgren. Now, you may want Chet Holmgren to play with Giannis, right? I like Chet Holmgren. I haven't seen him enough from a professional standpoint. I watched him at Gonzaga, but I'm afraid that the thin frame and, the height and all that stuff, I just get nervous with that, man. So he's already had the Jones fracture. Same thing Kevin Durant had. He still has those lower extremity injuries. I would get out ahead of this Chet Holmgren thing. People love him. People think he's a great young player. I'm putting Chet Holmgren in there. You got your 5 to 7 picks, Chet Holmgren. Now, I would like to keep Josh Giddey, but if it's Josh Giddey that has to go, hey, I'm willing to kind of negotiate that. I'm keeping J-Dub, I think is what they call him, but I'm going to say Jalen Williams. Both of the Jalen Williams, I'm going to keep if I'm OKC, and I'm not going to trade them away. I'm going to keep those guys and say, okay, yeah, we can build something with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis, and Jalen Williams, I think, is a guy that is on the rise. To me, he's a core guy you keep. You still got Lou Dort. If you need to throw Lou Dort in for salary purposes, you trade Lou Dort. I probably would keep Giddey. You got Usman, Jang, some young guys. They got Usman Garuba, who they just picked up. A lot of young guys in contracts. Poku, he'll be under contract still, I think, at next year. So you can trade him away if you want to. They just got the kid, Cason Wallace, who I think is going to be a good player, but they got so many young guys that they can't even really play all these guys. So trade some of those young guys, trade some of those draft picks that you aren't going to be able to use because you already got too many young guys. And then there you have it, man. You got Giannis. I probably would try to go get a center to play next to Giannis as well still. Here's an idea, and I'm a guy that likes the Hawks. Maybe a Clint Capella. Go try to get a guy like that to make your team a little bit more serious and have some rim protection to play alongside Chet for this season or whatever you want to do with that. But keep your eye out on that, man. I know the Knicks and Lakers are the 2 teams they're saying, and I think the Lakers, him and AD playing together, would be phenomenal, man. He could maybe show AD how to have a little bit more heart. And hey, and it was a debate at one point about who's the better of those 2 guys. So seeing them together would be interesting. I don't know who would play center. I guess AD doesn't want to play center. Giannis doesn't like to play center either. But just throw them both out there together, man. It's positionless basketball anyway. But OKC, that's a team to watch out for, man. I would like to see maybe Giannis be there. Just a sneaky pick at some point, Sam Presti. He's done this before. Nobody thought Paul George was going to OKC before he stopped to go to LA eventually, but a little pit stop there. So maybe Giannis makes a pit stop before he goes where he goes. That is my show for today, man. I want to thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, man. Cut on your notifications. We're only giving you the best sports and entertainment information and takes in the world. Number one. I know Skip just reshuffled his thing. I know Stephen A is on the precipice of bringing in his new guys in a couple weeks. Man. Come right here to Earl Knows It All for all the best in sports and entertainment. I got you covered, man. I want to leave you with this precious gem. Put your trust in God, because through him, all things are possible. And as always, you guys have a great, blessed day.